Hey everyone, it's Mike back at you with another video. Today we're going to talk about a character that hasn't really seen much play since early 2023, and that is Ojiro 2. Let's get into it. So, Mashirao Ojiro 2. He is a 6-hander, 28 health on the all, earth, and water symbols, and he really wants you to play different attack zones all in the same turn. So his first enhance gives an attack +1/+1 for each different printed attack zone in your card pool. So if you can go mid into a low into a high or whatever, that's going to get you +1/+1 to your first attack, +2/+2 to your second, and +3/+3 to all of your future attacks. And then once you have each zone in your card pool, he has this once per turn to pick up one of the attacks from your card pool so you can replay it and extend that string even further. So very early this year, like February, March, Ojiro 2 was dominant in the meta. He would play Student of the Art, also known as Card with My Face on It, which lets you pick up any attack from your discard pile, put it directly into your card pool. If you're Ojiro, it doesn't count towards progressive difficulty, so it's not going to interrupt your string at all. It's just going to let you find that third zone or tutor the specific attack that you want to pick up later, and it'll jump you immediately from doing the +1/+1, +2/+2, +3/+3, get to skip that first step. You say, okay, I'll play my first attack, Student of the Art, put a new zone in. Now I'm starting at +2/+2 to all my moves. My second move is going to be at +3. We get to go from there. So the supporting package for this was Earth Symbol Punches, which was already fairly dominant in the meta. Back Alley Haymaker is one of the more powerful moves at the time. It's just really good on stats, really good on cost, lets you build in, lets you draw a card, it's versatile. Rapid Punches is another really fast attack. You get to pile stats on it, and it's drawing more cards. Texas Smash, if you get that combo off, this is coming at you as a 7 high for 10. That's insane. It even got Missouri Smash to see play, which is another just draw more cards, let you extend that string out with some extra builds. And to top it all off, One with Nature, which on your kill turn, you get to just discard a foundation or whatever from your hand to give your attack +2/+1, essentially. So you are piling stats on. You get to play a lot of attacks per turn. You get to see extra attacks per turn. You get to play the same attack multiple times. It was insane. So something got done about it. So a little bit after that Florida regional, Ojiro got errated. So first, we took away that and, we said or. Either you're giving speed or damage, not both. So cutting that enhance in half, essentially. You either have moves that deal damage but are easy to block, or you have moves that are fast but don't deal that much damage. Also, this once per turn got changed to a commit cost, which was huge. This means that if you use that on your turn, you don't have Ojiro as a resource to commit on your opponent's turn, but more importantly, it meant that once you committed and picked up an attack, all of the future attacks that turn aren't going to have the benefit of your first enhance, so you don't get to keep piling on stats. Also, One with Nature got banned, but that was its own problem. So, where does that leave us with this character? He's not the powerhouse he used to be, but he's still doing this really unique thing. He gets to tutor out of his discard with his foundation. He gets to then put that right into his hand, assuming he's met his zone requirements. And he's giving some stats, but not to an absurd amount. So I think the unique thing he does that I really want to focus on is his ability to find a specific attack in your deck and then play it a bunch of times. So, sticking with the Earth symbol, we're going to go to one of my favorite attacks in the game, and we're going to try to play it as much as possible. Final Exam Gut Shot. 3 mid for 6. It's a punch, and it has flash, so we're going right through the enhance step. But after you play this card, you're going to mill your opponent for 8 cards, which is a big number. Now, this wasn't really enough in the past. We had some support for it, so we can find it with Student of the Art. If we check it, we get to pick it up out of the discard pile. If we hit with it and it goes to our momentum, we get to use this other card with our face on it, Prehensile Tail, and pick it up from our momentum and play it again. But even if we can find this and play it a couple times a turn, there wasn't really enough mill support elsewhere in the symbol to push you over the finish line. So I think that that's going to change with set 6 due to this card. One Man Inferno is a 0 difficulty foundation that says for every enhanced step, yours or your opponent's, you get to say, hey, I'm going to mill one, you're going to mill one. Is that enough? It might be. Let's do some math. So this is all the deck lists that made top cuts of the 3 nationals this past month. I've mapped it out here by deck count. So we can see in this chart that most of the decks, by a high margin, were under 70 cards, and a good chunk were under 60 cards. Right at your minimum 50, that's where you saw some of your Mirios, and then that 60 range, that's the more average. You see your overhauls, things like that. There are a couple outliers. The 2 recovery girls who showed up were at 75 and 94, I think it was. And then the second place at US Nats, the 112 card Shoto 2. Let's just hope we don't get paired against that. But the takeaway here is that the average deck size right now is 62.8, so we're just going to say 63 cards. So, continuing on with our math. If our opponent has 63 cards in their deck, then throughout the game, they're probably going to get up to 10 foundations. Those are going to be not in the pile of cards that they're cycling through. And at any given time, they have to be able to draw up to their hand size. We're going to say that's 6. So we're looking at about 47 cards that we need to be cycling through while we're milling our opponent. Now, when they get to 0 cards in the deck, they have to do the cycle, remove the top 10. So we essentially have to mill them out multiple times. If we do 47 and then take away 10 cards each time, you have to make them cycle 5 times, or in other words, mill 135 cards. So, how do we get to do that? Well, first off, they're going to be playing cards on their turn, they're going to be playing cards to block on our turn, and every card played is essentially 2 cards gone. So if we look at their hand size, let's estimate that they're going to go through most of their hand each turn, and they're going to play a card and then mill one to make the check with that card. Our gut shots are going to mill for 8 each time we play them, and then as long as we have 1 copy of One Man Inferno, we're getting an additional mill every enhanced step. So if we're playing against a 6-hander, if there are, let's say, we try to play 1.5 gut shots in a turn cycle, I think this is something we're somewhat capable of. Obviously, we can't do it turn 1, but if we can find it on turn 2, our character is going to be very good at playing 2 copies of it, right? If you draw it, you get to play it and pick it up. If it goes to your momentum, you get to pick it up. If it's in your discard, you can find it. You're going to try to play as many as you can. You probably won't get 2 a turn. You might get 1 a turn. I'm going to say 1.5. On top of that, in between your enhanced steps and your opponent's enhanced steps from them attacking you, I'm estimating that at about 4.5 enhanced steps per turn cycle to activate our One Man Infernos. So if we look at that to figure out how long it's going to take to get through that 135 cards, I'm estimating about 5 turns, which means that we need to both stay consistent with playing our gut shots, and we have to survive that long. So let's look at the actual deck that I'm coming up with. First, our attack lineup. When you're playing Ojiro 2, you have to have a good split of your zones, and because we're looking for very specific cards in our deck, I want to keep it very, very slim. I'm not going to go with the minimum 50 because you do still mill yourself with your One Man Infernos, and I think that there's some risk to milling yourself out before your opponent, so I'm a little worried about that. I'm sticking around 55 for now. Gonna do some testing, see how it feels. We're going to play 4 gut shots, obviously, and then to fill out our mid attacks, we're playing 3 copies of Back Alley Haymaker. This is, again, just a very well-statted move, and it lets you build a 0 from your discard pile. So this is going to help us get multiple One Man Infernos in play. Once we get that second copy in play, the turn count drops very quickly. A second copy takes you from about 5 turns to about 4.5 turns. A third copy gets you to 4 turns. If you can get a fourth copy, you're just going to go crazy. For our high attacks, I'm looking at Hardened Barrage. What this is going to do for us is we can put a bunch of speed on this, and it's not going to hit very hard, but if it deals damage, we get to unflip one of those foundations we use to find our gut shot, so either our Student of the Art or our Prehensile Tail. Its counterpart, Rapid Punches, same deal, we can pile speed on this, and if it hits, it's going to draw a card. Just keep us going, keep our build going, make sure we have blocks for our opponent's turn. Spinning Kick, another card with Ojiro's face on it. This is going to do either drawing or unflipping. It doesn't need to hit for it, you just have to follow it up with another attack that isn't high. So if you can play this as your second attack, or if later in the game you're stringing out to 4 or 5, you can play this in the middle there. As long as you don't end with it, this is going to get you value. Overhead Reversal is going to start filling out our low attacks. This is a throw, so we can just pile damage onto this, which we can do fairly efficiently. Again, we'll eventually get to +3 damage, so we can throw a 7 damage throw at them. It's okay, it might let us finish off with a damage kill, but more importantly, it's going to find more copies of One Man Inferno out of our discard pile, put those into play for future turns. And the last thing I wanted to try is just a one-of is Bad Guy Roundup. We have a little bit of momentum hate through Prehensile Tail, that's the alternate mode there, but this is also going to let us take away an opponent's momentum. It's sometimes going to draw a card, and it's a momentum outlet for ourselves with that powerful too. Now, looking at our foundations, there's a couple more additions from set 6 that I think we can include. So first off, Snap Out of It. Again, we want to use the Student of the Art, Prehensile Tail, as much as possible to keep playing these gut shots. Since Ojiro is a student, he has access to this Student First Enhance. You commit this, you unflip one of those, so it's going to let you keep using that same foundation each turn to get your multiple gut shots off. When we're getting to that endgame, we can get a little more mill out of our foundation base with a few copies of Indenimed. Now, this foundation lets you blow up a foundation on your attack to make your opponent mill for 2, which is a very bad cost to benefit ratio, but it's going to push you right over the edge on that kill turn potentially and get you another 6-ish cards off the top of your deck. Hopefully that's going to make a difference. Chivalrous Competitor is a classic card on the Earth symbol. That flip to draw a card is going to both pick up something for you, either a block or just an extra attack to push through, but also making your opponent draw a card still counts as milling them. And then Pull No Punches. This is another really good foundation to keep our milling going with our gut shots. If we lead off with that on our second attack, we can destroy this to push gut shot into our momentum. That's another way to have access to it with Prehensile Tail. So I want to play a couple of these, both for that and for that Deadlock Threat Enhance. One of the things about this deck is that your plan A right now is mill, but your opponent isn't going to be able to just block everything because you're probably going to be putting speed on the majority of your attacks. Eventually their life total is going to get in that danger zone, and you can switch over to putting damage on your throws, putting damage on your rapid punches, that's going to have high speed anyway, putting damage on your moves that have the EX2. So this is going to be able to still threaten that kill under Deadlock. Now you also have to stay alive during all this. So Earth has a lot of pretty well-known defensive foundations that I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but there is one from set 6 that I wanted to look at, and that is Resourceful. This is a spam foundation. It's just a 1-diff. It's a fairly minor impact, but I was seeing it as kind of an alternative to high-value target. So the benefits to Resourceful is that instead of a 3-block mod low block, it's a 2 low block, and then it has this extra text of committing against a weapon attack to take away a damage. I feel like that part's not going to come up too often. So this is mostly just going to be committing to give -2 speed to let you block, which is basically what High Value Target already does. The difference here is that Resourceful is proactive, whereas High Value is reactive. High Value Target, you don't have to really decide to use it until that last possible second, whereas Resourceful, you can spend it to give your opponent's attack -2 speed, but there will be situations where you spend that resource and then still can't block the attack, whereas with High Value, you don't have to spend a resource until you have final say over it. Now, High Value also has the extra text of saving a foundation from being destroyed. I'm not too worried about that. It doesn't come up a ton, and I already want to be on 4 copies of Chivalrous Competitor, which is doing the same thing. So here is the list in its entirety as I have it right now. I'm going to be testing this out once set 6 drops. This is going to be a pretty early thing to test in paper for me, because really all I need from set 6 is a playset of this common and then a few cards out of one of the starter decks. So I'm going to give it a shot. I'll let you know how it goes. If you're interested, give it a try. Next week I'm going to come back and I will be talking about some of the top cut decks from the recent 3 Nationals events and how you might be able to upgrade them with more cards from set 6. I'll catch you later.